What is task paralysis? How can you overcome it? Or at the very least, how can you deal with it easier? Hi there, I'm Evie. I have a psychology degree. I was coaching for 3 years and I'm also diagnosed with ADHD. So on this channel, I try to combine knowledge and life experience into something useful and relatable. So today we're talking about task paralysis. And let's get the lecture part of this video out of the way first. Task paralysis, often encountered by people with ADHD, is a state where a person feels overwhelmingly stuck and unable to initiate or continue tasks even when they are willing and understand the necessity of completing these tasks. This phenomenon can stem from various ADHD challenges such as difficulty with prioritization, time management, and decision making, compounded by the tendency towards hyperfocus or distractibility. Task paralysis is not the result of a laziness or a lack of motivation. Rather, it's about, let's say, a traffic jam in the brain, where the neural pathways that are responsible for initiating or continuing a task are kind of congested or blocked. Furthermore, the emotional aspect of ADHD can make task paralysis even worse. I'm talking about the fear of failure, perfectionism, or previous experience of criticism. Those can increase the stress about starting or completing a task, creating a cycle of avoidance and stress. Now, I've divided the rest of the video into 3 parts. First is the importance of self-compassion, because hear me out, you can have the best tool, and if you don't have the right mindset, you're still not going to benefit from it. And no, there is no like wrong mindset, but there is certainly unhelpful, unhealthy one. And in the second part, I'm going to talk about the most common tools used to mitigate task paralysis. But without the mindset, if you continue to be negative, self-blaming, self-bullying, even the best tools are just not gonna work for you. Hence, I start in that order. And third is reason the unreasonable, and you're gonna see what I mean. People with ADHD oftentimes experience either external or internal criticism for their struggles with productivity. As a child, it is very likely that you are either told that you're not good at a lot of things, or you yourself felt that you're not as good as others. Not only that, you very often struggle with doing things as well as others, but you're not encouraged to do them differently. Very often people judge us for doing things so much different than them, although we actually accomplish the task, but it's in such a way that it's just not normal and it's criticized, and then eventually either you internalize it thinking, oh, I'm just so weird, or you kind of give up on even trying because you already know you're gonna fail to be normal. So there are a lot of components that can create the mindset of I cannot do this, hence I'm not gonna even try. But that is not even the worst part. The worst part is when you force yourself through your feelings and emotions and you experience task paralysis, but you are like, I'm just gonna go get it done because I'm not gonna be this lame, lazy person. So out of like self-bitching, let's say you get off the couch, yes, but the worst part is that in that case, your success is not gonna bring you any satisfaction. It's gonna feel empty and it's gonna just bring you, this numb feeling of why did I even struggle? Why did I even force myself through my task paralysis just so I feel this emptiness on the inside and maybe others are happy with me achieving my stuff, but what is in here for me? There is no incentive in this. So if you are to take just one message out of this video, remember that the way you are winning determines whether or not you will want to keep winning. ADHD is legitimate struggle. This is something that you truly go through because of how your brain is wired. And if you just force yourself through it, not only that you may feel the numbness and the emptiness at the end, but also you're gonna make it increasingly more difficult every single time to try again to overcome task paralysis, because you're gonna remember that not satisfying feeling. You're gonna remember how difficult it was. Bottom line, be compassionate towards yourself. You are not lazy, you are not lame, you are facing a struggle called task paralysis, extremely typical for people with ADHD. And dealing with it will take time. And to be quite honest with you, there is no single tool that is gonna work every single time. So on some days, you just be a couch potato. Let it be, get up the next day and try again. With all that said, let's go over the 5 most common strategies to mitigate task paralysis. Break tasks into smaller steps. You have heard this probably gazillions of times, and I would say, as somebody who doesn't really process pieces of things, I just need to see the whole thing. I think I have a mild dyslexia. I understand how annoying this advice could be if you just hear it, but let me give you a perspective. Simplifying tasks into more manageable parts can help reduce the overwhelm that leads to paralysis. It's about making a start more accessible and less daunting. And what I've seen from my coaching practice and from my own life is that if you're breaking a process, it is more difficult versus if you're actually looking at it as like a bigger project that has different departments and you truly finish one department at a time. I'm just gonna explain this in a different way. Let's say you wanna clean more often, and if you start with one room only, that to me feels easier versus if you tell me, oh, just vacuum the whole house only. I just feel like I haven't completed anything. The house is still a mess and I don't have any sense of completion because yes, I finished a piece of it, I broke it into smaller steps, but no place, no corner of the house is actually cleaner. Nothing looks better. It's just the floor maybe, but it's just not enough. Versus if I just do my best to clean one room, one corner, and then there's a single thing that it truly looks better, I can look at it and be like, I accomplished something. I've done something. It's fine now. I have a corner where I can sit and it's cleaner and it's straightened up and it's nice and fine. So this is what I mean by think about tasks in terms of departments so you can still get yourself a sense of accomplishment. Because if you just try to break it down, especially if you have dyslexia, geez, it's just difficult to have any satisfaction, let alone motivation to do it again and again and again. Second is use visual aids for organization. Visual cues help people with ADHD tremendously, and I plan on making an entire video just for time management where I'm gonna focus on time blocking, but the ADHD way, because I have done this very often in my life and I find it extremely helpful, but it's not the way how I would hear it, for example, from Ali Abdal, who is gonna tell me to take my calendar and block every single hour. That's a typical time blocking. I'm sure it helps. I don't think it helps for ADHD people. In my practice, I haven't seen it. I'm not saying that you may not be an exception, but I'll gladly make a video on time blocking. And I'm curious to see what the comments will be. Number 3 is set realistic expectations. The thing with task paralysis very often is that, well, we let things pile up and we kind of hope that we're gonna wake up one day or we're gonna bitch ourselves or pep talk ourselves into getting up and completing all of it in some like hyper mode or hyper productivity mode. And it may happen, and probably it had happened in the past, and that's why now you are again hoping for that hyper moment to come. But first of all, you had no control over the hyper focus. It started when it started and it ended when it ended. Maybe you didn't even finish the tasks before it ended, and you know that. And second, it left you exhausted. You didn't learn anything because you didn't improve your self-control. You didn't improve your routine or anyhow tools to mitigate the task paralysis. You just got lucky. If you instead truly set realistic goals, that will reduce the stress, and that stress is what feeds the task paralysis. 4 is incorporate flexibility into your schedule, and this has to do a lot with the time blocking I was talking about earlier. It is one thing to have a to-do task, another thing to have nothing at all and be a complete hoping for the best walking around ADHD person, right? We love extremes, we all do, especially us. Yes, I know. But well, the best happens kind of in the middle. So when you have schedule, yes, but it's a flexible one. For example, you have a to-do list, but it's not set in stone exactly at what time of the day you'll do it, as long as you do it today. That's flexibility. That can help you much more than trying to stick to something very rigid and very structured, which we ADHD people kind of hate with passion. We benefit from it. It's very wonderful to have it, but we don't like it. And finally, fifth is seek professional therapy or coaching. I really want to emphasize on this. I know it's more expensive, but honestly, would you go to a doctor for your physical health who got his degree after 6 weeks of online training? Would you do that? No, you're gonna go to somebody who studied for years to become a doctor. As somebody who studied for years to become a psychologist, and then I had 6 months of coaching training besides my hours of practice, I would say that to this day, I still have sometimes people who come to me, they share their experience with me, and I am like, that's different. I can see the patterns with my previous experience or knowledge, but it's still different. I still have to think how to help this person because it's not copy-paste. So I don't know how anybody can claim after a few weeks online that they have learned anything about humans' behavior, but I think you are hurting yourself when you go to somebody who's not professional, because you're gonna start thinking that you're lame and you're not capable of being helped. You're gonna get discouraged to ever trying again, gonna lose money, and you're gonna lose hope in the whole field maybe as well. All right, I know this is probably getting a longer video than I should have been making. So let's talk about how to reason the unreasonable. You know how when you have ADHD, if you have an appointment at 3 p.m., you're gonna do nothing productive until 3 p.m. And there are two main reasons for that. You fear that you'll get carried away with this other activity and you forget your appointment at 3 p.m. Or you fear that you exhaust all your focus and attention for something else and you have nothing left when the appointment comes. Well, task paralysis sometimes can reflect the same thought process. For example, on Monday, I have to wake up at 6 a.m. for my day job. So on Sunday, even if I wake up late, technically speaking, provided I don't do anything else, I still have time during the day to, let's say, film a video for YouTube. However, the thought of me having to wake up early, meaning I have to go to bed by 11 p.m. at the latest if I want to get enough decent amount of sleep. I'm thinking the whole day I have this deadline. I have to be in bed by 11. I cannot stop thinking about it, and I just feel the time pressure on myself that doesn't allow me to start a big task. The fear of my work or focus will be interrupted, or I might get carried away and end up going to sleep too late. Or I may get too tired cognitively and the next day it will be very difficult for me to focus at work. All those fears put together make me so paralyzed that I end up doing nothing productive. I don't even try. I just already accept my defeat and my failure. Then I go to bed feeling shitty, unsatisfied, and tired because given that I wasn't doing much, because I ended up being on the couch and ruminating and kind of feeling shitty, I had a lot of time to overthink. So now I'm tired, unsatisfied, didn't do anything, and I don't look forward to the next weekend because this weekend's experience already was negative. And this is a vicious circle that can continue for months. So how do you reason the unreasonable? Well, I know it's difficult, but just take a moment to stop. Just sit down, take a deep breath, and try to be here and now. I know you've heard this before, but being in the present moment and just kind of trying to forget that tomorrow exists, that all your other tasks exist. It's just here, you, and the thing that you want to do, the thing that you care about to do. That's all. If you can imagine just for a minute that all you have to do is that thing in front of you, that's it. Then it's the end of time after that. Nothing else exists. It can actually work. It does work. It sounds weird until you actually get there. And then when it works, you're like, oh my gosh, surprising, but yeah. And what I also do to facilitate this living in the moment intentional existence is I take my phone and I put an alarm for 1 hour before my deadline. Let's say I want to sleep by 11. I'm going to put an alarm by 10. So then I know I can allow myself to lose track of time. I can completely immerse myself into what I want to do because my phone is going to remind me that I should be going to sleep in an hour. It's such a simple thing, but trust me, it works. And being intentional with your time also makes you feel really thankful to yourself in the long term. You look back at all those moments when you've accomplished this and you're grateful. You feel like not only you achieved something, but you overcame your struggles, you overcame your challenges, and you feel proud. It's nice. I wish it for you. And to wrap it up, I'm just gonna say there's nothing easy with ADHD. I've tried to find the positives, and there are positives in the negatives as with everything else. But at the end of the day, ADHD is difficult. However, the amount of effort that will take you to deal with your ruminating mind and the self-disappointment after allowing the task paralysis to dictate your life on a regular basis versus the amount of effort that you take to take that breath and just sit down and be more intentional, both are difficult. Both are not gonna make you happy in the short term, but the struggle with ruminating and experiencing task paralysis, there's no long-term happiness there. It will continue to be shitty forever and ever. This will never bring you positives. The other one eventually will, and that's the only difference. Both are difficult, but one has benefits in the long term. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye.